The shocking betrayal, the perfect lie welcome to Crown Fire Tales. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. The champagne glass slipped from Emma's hand, shattering against the marble floor of the penthouse. But she didn't hear it. She couldn't hear anything, except the blood pounding in her ears as she stared at the scene before her, her fiancé, Daniel, tangled in silk sheets with her best friend, Sophia. 3 years. 3 years of loving him, trusting him, planning a future together. And this was how it ended. Not with a confession, not with an apology, but with her catching them in the bed she'd helped him pick out last month. Emma, Daniel's voice cracked as he scrambled to cover himself. This isn't what it looks like. She laughed. The sound was foreign, hollow. Really? Because it looks like you've been screwing my best friend in our apartment. Sophia at least had the decency to look ashamed, pulling the sheet up to her chin. But Daniel looked angry, like she'd interrupted something important. If you hadn't been so obsessed with your career, maybe I wouldn't have needed someone else, he snapped. And Emma felt the words like a physical blow. She'd worked 70-hour weeks to help him launch his startup. She'd postponed her own dreams, her own business, to support his. And this was her reward. The discovery Emma turned on her heel, ignoring Daniel's protests, and walked straight to his office. She knew his passwords. He'd never bothered to change them. Never thought she'd need to use them. Her hands shook as she logged into his laptop, some instinct driving her forward. What she found made her blood run cold. Emails. Dozens of them between Daniel and Sophia, dating back 18 months. But it wasn't just the affair that made her stomach churn. It was the business documents attached. Her business documents. The innovative marketing strategy she'd developed for her own company. The one she'd been too busy helping Daniel to launch. He'd stolen it. Sold it to his biggest investor as his own idea. And Sophia, her trusted friend, her college roommate, the woman she'd confided everything to, had helped him do it. The betrayal went deeper than infidelity. They'd systematically destroyed her career while building their own success on her stolen work. The breaking point looking for something? Daniel stood in the doorway, now fully dressed, his expression cold. Emma slowly closed the laptop. How long? Does it matter? How long? He sighed, running a hand through his hair. 1.5 years. Look, Emma, you're a nice girl. But let's be honest, you were never going anywhere. Your ideas were good, but you didn't have the ruthlessness to execute them. I do. You mean you stole them? I leveraged our relationship, he corrected, his tone matter of fact. It's just business. If you'd been smarter, you would have done the same. Sophia appeared behind him, now wearing one of Emma's robes. The sight of it, that casual theft of something so personal, snapped something inside Emma. Get out, Daniel said. This is my apartment. My name's on the lease. Actually, Emma said quietly, her mind already working, your investor's name is on the lease. Richard Chen. The one you used my marketing strategy to impress. I wonder what he'd think if he knew the truth. For the first time, she saw fear flicker in Daniel's eyes. You wouldn't I? Emma stood, grabbing her phone and purse. You clearly don't know me as well as you think. The plan takes shape. Emma checked into a hotel that night, her mind racing. She couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw them together, heard Daniel's cold dismissal of her worth. But beneath the pain, something harder was forming, something that felt like ice in her veins. She'd spent 3 years being supportive, accommodating, selfless. Where had it gotten her? Betrayed, stolen from, discarded. No more. At 3 a.m., Emma opened her laptop and began to work. She had copies of everything. Daniel had been too arrogant to realize she'd backed up all her files to her personal cloud. Every strategy, every campaign, every innovative idea he'd claimed as his own. And she had the emails proving the timeline, showing that her work predated his supposed innovations by months. But she wouldn't go to Richard Chen. Not yet. That would be too simple, too quick. She wanted them to feel what she'd felt. She wanted them to trust, to hope, to believe in a future, and then watch it crumble. The first move the next morning, Emma called her mentor, Victoria Sterling, a legendary businesswoman who'd tried to invest in Emma's company before Daniel had convinced her to put her career on hold. Victoria? It's Emma Hartley. I'm ready to talk about that partnership you offered. I thought you were getting married, focusing on supporting your fiancé's business. Plans change, Emma said, her voice steady despite the storm inside her. I have a proposal for you, something that will revolutionize digital marketing. And I have proof that the strategy currently making waves in the industry is actually mine. There was a long pause. Come to my office. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Emma hung up and allowed herself a small smile. The game was on, but she didn't know that at that very moment, Daniel was in Richard Chen's office, spinning a new story, one that painted Emma as an unstable woman who'd tried to sabotage his success. He had no idea that Richard's assistant, Jennifer, was someone Emma had mentored years ago, someone who owed her a debt. And Jennifer was recording every word. The confrontation Emma returned to the penthouse one last time to collect her belongings. She expected it to be empty, but found Sophia waiting in the living room. Emma, we need to talk. There's nothing to say. I never meant to hurt you. Sophia's eyes were red, her voice pleading. It just happened. We tried to fight it. You tried to fight stealing my life's work too. How'd that go? Sophia's face paled. I didn't know about that. Emma, you have to believe me. I don't have to believe anything anymore. Emma picked up the box she'd come for, the one containing her mother's jewelry, the only thing in this apartment that truly mattered to her. But I'll give you some advice. When this all falls apart, and it will, Daniel will throw you under the bus just as quickly as he did me. The difference is, I won't be there to catch you. She walked toward the door, then paused. Oh, and Sophia, that robe you're wearing, it was a gift from my grandmother. I'd like it back. Sophia's hands trembled as she removed the robe, standing there in just her underwear, suddenly small and vulnerable. Emma took it without another word and left, but as the elevator doors closed, she heard Sophia's voice, desperate and afraid. Emma, please, Daniel's planning something. Something bad. You need to. The door shut, cutting off whatever warning Sophia had been about to give. Emma stood alone in the descending elevator, holding her grandmother's robe, and wondered what fresh hell Daniel had in store. She'd find out soon enough, because what Emma didn't know was that Daniel had already filed a lawsuit claiming she'd stolen intellectual property from him. The papers would be served tomorrow. And the war was just beginning. What will Emma do when she discovers Daniel's lawsuit? Will Sophia's warning come too late? The revenge game has only just started. Part 2. Heartbreak and revenge. The lawsuit. Emma stared at the legal documents, her coffee growing cold on Victoria Sterling's glass desk. The words blurred together: intellectual property theft, breach of confidentiality, damages exceeding $2 million. Daniel wasn't just trying to destroy her reputation. He was trying to bankrupt her, ensure she could never recover. He's smart, Victoria said, her sharp eyes scanning the papers. Filing first makes you look like the defendant, the guilty party. By the time you prove these ideas were yours, the damage to your credibility will be done. So I'm supposed to just let him win? Victoria's lips curved into a dangerous smile. I didn't say that. I said he's smart. But smart people make predictable moves. And predictable can be exploited. She slid a folder across the desk. Jennifer sent this over this morning. Your friend has been busy. Emma opened it, and her breath caught. Inside were recordings, emails, financial records, everything showing Daniel's systematic theft of her work. But there was more, much more. Daniel had been embezzling from his own company, siphoning investor funds into offshore accounts. He'd been planning to disappear once the business sold, leaving his investors, including Richard Chen, holding an empty bag. How did Jennifer get all this? She's been Richard's assistant for 5 years. He trusts her completely. Victoria leaned back in her leather chair, and she's been waiting for a chance to take Daniel down ever since he sexually harassed her at a company party. You gave her that chance. Emma's hands trembled as she processed the information. This was bigger than she'd imagined, bigger than a cheating fiancé and a stolen marketing strategy. What do we do with this? We? Victoria raised an eyebrow. Emma, this is your revenge. What do you want to do? The alliance Emma spent the next 3 days planning. She met with lawyers, accountants, and investigators. She coordinated with Jennifer, who continued feeding her information from inside Daniel's company. And she made a decision that surprised even herself. She called Sophia. Emma? Sophia's voice was shocked, hopeful. I didn't think you'd ever save it. I don't forgive you, and I probably never will. But you tried to warn me about something. What was it? Silence. Then, quietly, Daniel knows about Victoria. He has someone watching you. And he's planning to discredit you publicly before the lawsuit even goes to court. He's going to release edited emails that make it look like you were threatening him, stalking him. He's building a case that you're mentally unstable. Emma's blood ran cold. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm an idiot. But I'm not a monster. Sophia's voice broke. Emma, I loved you. You were my best friend. I don't know what happened to me, why I let him. She took a shaky breath. He told me you didn't appreciate him, that you were cold, focused only on work. He made me feel like I was saving him from a loveless relationship. I believed him. And now I see what he is. He's using me the same way he used you. He's already losing interest, already looking at his next target. I'm just another tool to him. Emma closed her eyes, fighting the wave of conflicting emotions. Part of her wanted to hang up, to let Sophia drown in the consequences of her choices. But another part, the strategic part that was learning to think like Daniel, saw an opportunity. If you want to make this right, here's what you're going to do. The trap 2 weeks later, Daniel Chen stood in the lobby of the Meridian Hotel, straightening his tie. Tonight was the investor gala, the event where he'd announce his company's acquisition by a major tech conglomerate. The deal would make him a multimillionaire overnight. He'd already prepared his speech, the one that would paint him as a visionary entrepreneur who'd overcome adversity, including a vindictive ex-fiancé who'd tried to sabotage his success. Sophia appeared at his side, stunning in a red dress. Ready? Always. He kissed her cheek, a performance for the photographers gathered outside. Where's Emma? Has she been served with the restraining order yet? This afternoon, Sophia confirmed. Her lawyer called mine. She's furious. Daniel smiled. Everything was going according to plan. What he didn't know was that Emma was already inside the ballroom, wearing a black designer gown that Victoria had insisted she buy. She looked nothing like the casual, workaholic woman Daniel had dismissed. She looked dangerous. And she wasn't alone. The revelation Richard Chen took the stage first, welcoming the investors and guests. Daniel waited in the wings, reviewing his notes, anticipating his moment of triumph. "Before we begin tonight's main presentation," Richard said, his voice carrying through the ballroom, "I'd like to introduce someone special. A brilliant mind in digital marketing and the true architect of the innovative strategies that have made D-Chen Enterprises so successful. Please welcome Emma Hartley." Daniel's head snapped up. No, this wasn't. Emma walked onto the stage, and the room erupted in polite applause. She took the microphone, her hands steady, her smile composed. "Thank you, Richard. I appreciate this opportunity to set the record straight." Daniel started moving toward the stage, but security, Richard's security, blocked his path. 2 years ago, Emma continued, I developed a revolutionary approach to integrated digital marketing. I shared this strategy with my then-fiancé Daniel Chen, believing we were partners. What I didn't know was that he was systematically stealing my work, presenting it as his own to investors, and building a company on a foundation of lies. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Daniel saw investors pulling out their phones, journalists leaning forward with sudden interest. But tonight isn't about theft, though I have extensive documentation proving every word I've said. Emma's voice remained calm, almost conversational. Tonight is about something more serious. Tonight is about fraud. She nodded to the screen behind her, which lit up with financial records, emails, bank transactions. For the past 18 months, Daniel Chen has been embezzling investor funds. He's created shell companies, falsified expense reports, and funneled money into offshore accounts. The company you're being asked to acquire? It's a hollow shell with fabricated assets and inflated projections. Daniel lunged forward, breaking free from security. She's lying. She's a scorned woman trying to destroy me because I left her. Really? Emma's expression didn't change. Then perhaps you can explain these recordings. Daniel's own voice filled the ballroom, crystal clear. The idiots are eating it up. Another 6 months of cooking the books, and I'm out. Let them figure out the mess after I'm gone. Then Sophia's voice. What about Emma? What about her? She's too stupid to see what's happening. By the time she figures it out, we'll be in the Maldives, and she'll be drowning in legal fees. The room exploded. Investors surged forward, shouting questions and accusations. Security had to restrain several people from physically attacking Daniel. Emma watched it all from the stage, her expression serene. This was what she'd wanted, not just revenge, but justice. Not just payback, but truth. The aftermath Sophia found Emma in the hallway outside the ballroom, tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry, she sobbed. I didn't know about the embezzling. I swear I didn't know. But you knew about the theft. You knew about the lies. Emma's voice was gentle, but final. You made your choices, Sophia. Now you live with them. What's going to happen to me? That depends on the prosecutors. You were involved, whether you knew the full extent or not. You might face charges as an accomplice. Sophia crumpled against the wall, her red dress now seeming garish, inappropriate. I destroyed everything for him. My friendship with you, my reputation, my integrity. And for what? A man who never loved me at all. Emma felt a pang of something, not quite sympathy, but not quite satisfaction either. For what it's worth, Sophia, I hope you learn from this. I hope you become someone better. She walked away, leaving her former friend crying in the hallway. The visitor Emma returned to her hotel room after midnight, exhausted but strangely energized. She'd spent the last hour with Richard and his lawyers, providing evidence and testimony. Daniel had been arrested on the spot, and prosecutors were already building a case that would likely result in years of prison time. She should have felt triumphant, victorious. Instead, she felt hollow. A knock on her door startled her. She checked the peephole and saw a man she didn't recognize. Tall, dark-haired, expensive suit, holding a briefcase. "Miss Hartley? My name is Marcus Reed. I'm an attorney, but I'm not here about Daniel Chen." She opened the door a crack. "Then why are you here?" "Because someone wants to meet you. Someone who's been watching your situation with great interest. Someone who has a proposition that could change everything. I'm not interested in mysterious propositions at midnight." Marcus smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Not even if it involves bringing down the entire network that enabled Daniel's crimes. Not even if it involves making sure people like him never get the chance to destroy women like you ever again. Emma's hand froze on the door. "What are you talking about?" Daniel Chen wasn't working alone. He's part of a larger operation. Men in power who steal from talented women, who use and discard them. My client wants to expose all of them. And she wants you to help. "Who's your client?" Marcus handed her a card. On it was a single name, Veronica Blackwood. Emma's breath caught. Veronica Blackwood was a legend, a reclusive billionaire who'd built an empire and then disappeared from public life 20 years ago after a scandal that had never been fully explained. "She'll be in touch," Marcus said, and walked away before Emma could respond. Emma closed the door and stared at the card in her hand. Just when she thought her revenge was complete, a new door had opened. But was she ready to walk through it? Who is Veronica Blackwood, and what does she really want from Emma? As one revenge ends, another far more dangerous game is about to begin. The ultimate payback the meeting Emma stood in front of the glass skyscraper, her reflection staring back at her. A woman transformed. 3 weeks had passed since Daniel's arrest, 3 weeks of media interviews, legal proceedings, and sleepless nights. But the card in her pocket had burned like a brand, impossible to ignore. Veronica Blackwood. The elevator to the penthouse required a special key, which Marcus Reed had messengered to her hotel that morning along with a single instruction: come alone. 8 p.m. Tell no one. Now, as the elevator climbed 57 floors, Emma wondered if she was making a terrible mistake. The doors opened directly into a sprawling penthouse that looked like something from a magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, modern art on the walls, and in the center of it all, a woman who took Emma's breath away. Veronica Blackwood was in her early 60s, but age had only sharpened her beauty. Silver hair, cut in a precise bob, ice blue eyes that seemed to see through flesh and bone, and a presence that made the enormous room feel intimate. Emma Hartley. Her voice was velvet over steel. "You're younger than I expected. You're more terrifying than I imagined," Emma replied, then immediately regretted her honesty. But Veronica laughed, genuine and warm. "Good. Honesty is rare in my world. Please, sit." Emma took a seat on the white leather couch, acutely aware of Veronica's measuring gaze. "I suppose you're wondering why I asked you here." The thought crossed my mind. Veronica moved to the window, her silhouette outlined against the glittering city. 23 years ago, I was where you are now, young, brilliant, in love with a man I thought was my partner. His name was Thomas Blackwood, my husband, my business partner, the father of my daughter. Emma's pulse quickened. She'd heard whispers about the Blackwood scandal, but never the full story. Thomas and his associates systematically stole my innovations, my patents, my entire life's work. They did it legally, using contracts I'd signed in good faith, loopholes I'd never seen. By the time I discovered the truth, I'd lost everything. My company, my reputation, even custody of my daughter. But you rebuilt, Emma said softly. Your company now is worth billions. Yes, I rebuilt. Veronica turned, and Emma saw something ancient and dangerous in her eyes. But Thomas and his friends, they're still out there, still stealing from women, still using their power to crush anyone who threatens them, and they've gotten smarter, more sophisticated. Daniel Chen, he was trained by them. Emma's blood ran cold. What? Did you really think a mediocre entrepreneur like Daniel could orchestrate such an elaborate scheme on his own? He's part of a network, the Legacy Club, they call themselves. Powerful men who mentor younger men in the art of exploitation, who pass down techniques for stealing intellectual property, manipulating legal systems, destroying careers. Veronica pulled out a tablet and handed it to Emma. On the screen were photos, Daniel at various events with older men Emma didn't recognize, except one, Richard Chen. Wait, Richard helped me. He exposed Daniel, because I told him to. Veronica's smile was sharp. Richard Chen is my nephew. He infiltrated the Legacy Club years ago at my request. He's been documenting their activities, building cases, waiting for the right moment to strike. You gave us that moment. Emma's hands trembled as she scrolled through the photos. There were dozens of men, all successful, all respected. And beside them, younger men being mentored, some of whom Emma recognized from business magazines and tech conferences. Why are you showing me this? Because Daniel's arrest was just the beginning. The Legacy Club is scrambling now, worried about what he might reveal. They're vulnerable, and I want to destroy them completely. Veronica sat beside Emma, her intensity palpable. But I need someone they won't suspect. Someone young, brilliant, and hungry for justice. Someone like you. The proposition you want me to infiltrate them. Not infiltrate, dismantle. Veronica pulled up more files. I have evidence on 11 members of the Legacy Club. Patent theft, fraud, sexual harassment, embezzlement. But evidence isn't enough. These men have lawyers, connections, politicians in their pockets. They've survived scandals before. Then what's your plan? We make them destroy each other. Veronica's smile was predatory. The Legacy Club operates on trust and secrecy. Break that trust, introduce doubt and suspicion, and they'll turn on each other like wolves. Emma studied the files, her mind racing. This was bigger than her revenge on Daniel. This was about changing an entire system that enabled men like him. What would you need me to do? First, you'll launch your own company using the marketing strategy Daniel stole. You'll become successful, visible, a rising star in the industry. The Legacy Club will notice you. They always notice talented women. They'll send someone to recruit you, or more likely to seduce and exploit you. And I let them? You play the game. You gather evidence, record conversations, document everything. And when we have enough, we strike all at once. Press releases, lawsuits, criminal charges. We destroy their reputations, their companies, their legacies. Emma looked at the photos again. These weren't just wealthy businessmen. They were titans of industry, men who shaped policy and culture. Taking them down wouldn't just be dangerous. It could be fatal. What happened to your daughter? Emma asked suddenly. Veronica's mask slipped, just for a moment, showing raw pain beneath. Thomas turned her against me, convinced her I was unstable, dangerous. She hasn't spoken to me in 20 years. She believes I abandoned her, when the truth is I was fighting to get her back and losing every battle. Is she part of this? The revenge? No. Veronica's voice was firm. This isn't about her. This is about making sure no other woman loses what I lost. No other daughter grows up believing her mother was weak. Emma stood, walking to the window. Below, the city glittered with lights, thousands of lives, thousands of stories. How many women down there had been silenced, exploited, destroyed by men like Daniel and his mentors? "If I do this," Emma said slowly, "I want full control. No decisions without my approval. No risks I don't choose to take." "Agreed. And when it's over, I want you to help me find Sophia." Veronica raised an eyebrow. "Your former friend?" "Why?" "Because she's a victim too. Daniel manipulated her, used her. She made terrible choices, but she doesn't deserve to be destroyed." Emma turned to face Veronica. "If we're really fighting for women, we fight for all of them, even the ones who hurt us." For a long moment, Veronica just stared at her. Then she extended her hand. "You're either very wise or very foolish, Emma Hartley. Either way, you're exactly what I need. Do we have a deal?" Emma shook her hand, sealing her fate. "We have a deal." Epilogue. New beginning 6 months after the trials. Emma sat in her office, a real office now, in a building she owned, running a company that was genuinely hers. Hartley Innovations had become exactly what she'd dreamed. A place where talent mattered more than connections, where women weren't exploited but empowered. Her assistant buzzed. "Miss Hartley, there's someone here to see you. She doesn't have an appointment, but she says you know her." "Who is it?" "Sophia Martinez." Emma's breath caught. She hadn't seen Sophia since the night of Daniel's exposure. She'd heard through lawyers that Sophia had cooperated with prosecutors and received immunity in exchange for testimony. "Send her in." Sophia looked different, thinner, older somehow, despite only months passing. She stood in the doorway like she might bolt at any moment. "I don't expect you to forgive me," she said immediately. "I don't deserve it. But I needed to tell you, I'm sorry. Truly, deeply sorry. What I did was unforgivable." "You're right," Emma said. "It was. I've been in therapy, trying to understand why I betrayed someone I loved. The therapist says I was manipulated, that Daniel was a master at finding insecurities and exploiting them. But that's not an excuse. I made choices. Terrible choices." Emma studied her former friend. She wanted to feel rage, satisfaction at Sophia's pain, but mostly she just felt tired. "What do you want, Sophia?" "Nothing. I just wanted you to know that I'm trying to be better. I got a job, just an entry-level position at a nonprofit. I'm rebuilding from the ground up, the right way this time. And I'm telling my story, warning other women about men like Daniel, about how manipulation works." "That's good," Emma said quietly. "I'm glad you're getting help." Sophia turned to leave, then paused. "For what it's worth, you were always the strongest person I knew. I just wish I'd had half your courage." After she left, Emma sat alone in her office, thinking about revenge and justice, about forgiveness and moving forward. She'd destroyed the men who'd tried to destroy her. She'd helped dismantle a system that had exploited countless women. She'd built something real and lasting from the ashes of her pain. But the sweetest revenge wasn't Daniel's imprisonment, or Gregory's disgrace, or even the Legacy Club's destruction. The sweetest revenge was this. Emma Hartley had become exactly who she was meant to be. And no one, not Daniel, not the Legacy Club, not anyone, could ever take that away from her. Her phone buzzed with a text from Veronica. "Dinner tonight? Claire wants to meet you properly. She's thinking about law school. Says she wants to fight for women who can't fight for themselves." Emma smiled and typed back, "I'd love that, because revenge wasn't just about tearing down the people who'd hurt you. Sometimes the ultimate payback was building something better from what they'd tried to break." and Emma Hartley was just getting started. The end